Hey everyone, John Henry here from School of Trade, and today we're going to be taking a look at a last chance wave here on crude oil. Let me get my target down here, and my final target, I'm actually going to be a little bit aggressive on this overall target. Now, the reason behind me being a little bit more aggressive on the target instead of going for my target at 27 is we're approaching these previous ranges here, 98.25, 98.45, and typically when you get these ranges together like this, when they're relatively nearby, 10, 15, 20 ticks away, you're typically going to see it tag the first one, attempt at the second one, and that second one is the integral one. Sometimes it fails there, sometimes it just blows right through it. We can see at the overall here, we're seeing a bias starting to shift to the downside. The long-term trend is down, the medium-term trend is down. The only one that's really going in the favor of this one is a long-term. So it'd still be considered, the short-term, so it'd still be considered a little bit higher risk. But the reason I'm really liking this trade is because we just had this massive rise higher off of these lows. We've blown through any levels of resistance through here with quite a bit of ease. We stopped short of that first test at 25, made another new high, stopped short again, then pulled back to that last chance. It's a beautiful last chance wave to go right back up to the upside again. So I'm in long here at 98.12, taking a little bit of heat. Not really a big surprise. It's kind of a funky area of the market to kind of hop in on. So I would expect it to fluctuate a little bit here, but looking to take my first target off at 98.20. We're in long from 98.12 for contracts. Second target, I'm looking at 98.45 for that second test up there. Again, it may go above that, but you know, it's something that typically when you see these two lined up like that close together, you're going to blow through the first one and attempt the second one. So that's what I'm looking for here. Now, if we get stalled out here at this the previous level at 25, I'm going to have to pay attention to that, and I might have to get out a little bit early. So I will be looking to aggressively trail my stop up as we move closer, but still overall looking for 98.20 at the first target there. Now, once we get this trade kind of kicking off a little bit, instead of moving my stop to break even, because this is a last chance wave, I'm taking 3 off at 8. I'm going to move my stop to -8 just to give me a little bit of a buffer. But the reasoning behind that is when we get into these previous levels, you get a lot of fluctuation. I don't want to get whipped out of a good trade, especially since it gives me a little bit of a built-in buffer. I've already taken some profit off at the +8 at 98.20 there. So I can afford to give one of the contracts back at -8. It's not going to hurt that much. So if we do get that first target filled there, we're looking to take 3 off at 8. The final target, if we can get up to that second level, which again we are anticipating, that'll be a 33 tick final target up there. So just kind of sitting on hands now and just waiting for this trade to go. We'll be cognizant of the fact that 98.27 is there and might be a little bit more cautious. But if we can blow through that level, it should be clear sailing all the way up to that next level. So we'll be back in a little bit, and we'll see how the trade turns out. All right, coming into our first target here, getting close, came 1 tick away. Looks like the market's having just a really hard time at these highs. It's moving really slow. Not really a big surprise. We had just had this big burst in volume up. It looked like possibly a fake break high, even though we made a higher low. Lots of people are going to attempt to try to sell this high here to get it back down again. And if we start breaking above this high here at 22, it's going to be a lot of people that get stopped out too. So looking for our first target here at 98.20. See if they have what it takes to get it filled. Got one of them filled. Need 2 more. There we go. Got all 3 filled there at that first target. So now we've taken off a total of 3 at 8. So we got 24 ticks on the trade so far. Looking for that final move up. Now again, as we said earlier, because this is kind of an area of a little bit of contest, if you will, instead of moving my stop to break even, I'm going to move my stop to -8. I'm only going to risk giving back 1 if it does want to fall down. But that puts us back at that swing low down here that we just formed for that move up. So if we do get stopped out, now then we lose 8 ticks and we're still sitting up. But I don't want to give back a potential good trade right here. Just as an example, we would have been stopped out of break even at 98.12. A lot of folks that would have gotten long here at 98.12 just got stopped out, and I don't want to get stuck in that move where all of a sudden it shoots right back up again and I squandered the entire trade because I was being a little bit more aggressive buying long. You've got to remember, when you're buying long into the high of day like this, even if the pattern does look good, sometimes you got to be a little bit flexible on that stop. So we've got our stop at -8. Worst case, we still end up on the trade. We've got 24, so if we get back 8, we're looking at 16. So still 160 bucks on the trade regardless. But if we do go back up to the highs again, and it looks like that's the case, it would have been stopped out to the tick, and now it's moving back up again. Pretty typical, huh? So we would have been stopped out at 98.12. In this case, we were smart about it going into those highs. If we do get that final target filled, we're looking at another 33 ticks on the trade. We'll be sitting on just a gorgeous pattern here. Now, again, I'm going to be watching this 98.25 very intently. If we start seeing failure there, I'm going to try to lock my stop up a little bit. Actually, even if we move up from here, now I'm willing to move my stop to break even -1, because if this is a trap, all the sellers that got trapped in here are going to get stopped out. We shouldn't come back to these lows again. So my stop is now at 98.11 after this little bit of a kind of a bear trap fired off there. So looking for continued movement back up to the upside again, looking for the final target at 98.45, just based on the fact that we've got a double high of day here. They typically want to test the farthest one before. If they do fail, then they'll fail back down, but if they want to go higher, they'll go from there. So we're tagging that first one now. Need to see some follow through here. I don't need this reversing on me. If we reverse from here, got to be a little bit aggressive on getting out a little bit ahead of time. Again, I'm not expecting price to go back down below this 98.12 anytime soon. So I'm sitting in a relatively good position. My stop's already at break even -1. Locked in 24 ticks. I'm willing to sit through this. If it does come back, stop me out at -1, so be it. We'll be back in a little bit, and we'll see if we can get that final push up to 45s. All right, getting a big push into the next upside here. Again, this happens constantly. See, these folks would have been stopped out of break even, miss this whole move up. So being a little bit smart on those targets gets us these types of movement. I did lock my stop in a little bit tighter with another little bit of a trap that came down here that retested that previous level at 25 and then moved back up again. So I moved my stop below there. But other than that, we shot straight back up into that 33 tick target. Now you can see we're starting to shift a little bit. We're not as bearish on the long term anymore. We're getting a little bit kind of bearish neutral. Medium still bearish neutral, and the short term is still looking bullish. So overall, still seeing a little bit of rolling over kind of happening here, but getting a little bit more legs to the bull side. So overall, just a perfect example of those types of trades where, if you're getting into a riskier position regardless, you've got to be a little bit flexible on the stop. And this is why we would have been stopped out to the tick and missed a 33 tick rise higher into our target. So overall, took 3 off at +8. 1 off at +30 at 98.45, total of 57 ticks on the trade, $570. Just a gorgeous example of this type of trade. Now, again, we might pull back from here. We might continue higher and continue making new highs for the rest of the day. But typically, when you've got double levels like this, it always wants to test a second one. So that's going to be the trade for today. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.